So I got a comment recently saying that I'm Unk, and you know what? I guess you're right. So get tucked in and let Unk read you some bedtime stories. We're playing hardcore Minecraft today on a fresh world, which went well for like the first 20 minutes. Anyways, I've got some pretty wild stories to read today, so I hope you enjoy. The first story today is from Best of Redditor Updates by user Trowaway243121. My brother tried to pull a fast one on his wife, and she did an Uno reverse, and I'm laughing watching him scramble. My brother, fake name Darren, and his wife Anna have been having some serious marital problems, which are 99% Darren's fault. Anna's a stay-at-home mom, goes to college online, and has a side business with an MLM, but whatever. She's made some new friends and seems to be happier. Before they had kids, Darren and Anna had a solid marriage. Anna told me that after the kids came, their marriage slowly went downhill, and now it's on life support. Anna does everything for the kids, and Darren wants a medal for watching them for 30 minutes while Anna cooks dinner. He is more than capable of taking care of them, but chooses to let Anna do everything if he can get away with it. The MLM Anna is involved with is having a big convention this week. We're locals, but Anna decided to do a staycation and is staying at a hotel near the convention with her friends. This had been planned for months. Anna told Darren to take time off work and made it very clear she needed the break and that this would be a really good opportunity to network. Over Christmas, she asked him if he got approved for the time off, and he said, yeah. I told her he was going to mess this up for her, and she said he better not. She called me in tears, and Darren texted her that an emergency came up at work and he would not be able to take time off. He had to put in a long day on Tuesday and would be flying out on Wednesday. He was so sorry and would make it up to her. I thought he was going to have a breakdown. She could barely talk. I told her to calm down, finish packing, and pick her kids up from school. I said I would watch them until Darren got home. She did not want me in the middle, but I told her, screw that guy. We've never been close, and I don't give a damn how he reacted. I watched the kids until Darren strolled in at 10 p.m. and told him he was a selfish POS on my way out the door. He blasted my phone, and I put him on D&D. I talked with Anna yesterday, and he blasted her phone as well. She ended up telling him they could either get marriage counseling or see divorce lawyers, his choice. But he better stop calling her unless it was an emergency with the kids, or she was calling to talk to them. He cooled his jets after being told that. He stopped by my house, and I spoke to him through the Ring camera. He asked me what he was supposed to do with the kids. I asked him if he even bothered to request the time off from work, and he wouldn't answer. Instead, he said he had an important business trip. He said Anna wouldn't give the contact info for their babysitters and asked if I could watch the kids. I told him to get the hell off my property with his bullshit. If he were any kind of parent, he would have already had the babysitter's contact info. Anna prepped meals for the kids, organized all their clothes for the week, and left a detailed itinerary of their schedule. What else did he need? Our parents and his in-laws won't return his calls. He's flying solo this week and had to cancel his alleged business trip. Anna says she will get to the bottom of it when she gets back home. I hope she has the best time with her friends. I hope Darren doesn't get a moment of peace. No one is buying his lies or coming to his rescue, and I laugh when I think about it. Good luck, bro. You know, I get that we're only getting like one side of the story, but Darren seems like a real special guy. In the actual story, his name's not Darren. The person who wrote it put something else that also starts with a D, but, you know, I'm not going to say that on YouTube. Anyways, here's an update about 2 weeks later. I got a lot of messages asking for updates, so I'm leaving it here. I'll start with the good news. Anna is going to divorce Darren. Thanks to a family member, she was able to get an appointment with a lawyer this week. The lawyer comes highly recommended. When Anna came home on Sunday night, Darren was waiting with a suitcase and said it was his turn to take a vacation. And then he left. No arguing, he just left. In his warped mind, his silence is meant to punish Anna, but he's actually making her life easier. While he's gone, she's making copies of all the financial documents she can find. She hopes he really teaches her a lesson and stays gone. The house was a wreck. She moved all of Darren's stuff from the master bedroom into his office. It's piled on the floor. You can't even walk in there. There isn't even enough room for a twin air mattress. The kids enjoyed their time with Darren. They were asking for him today and want to spend more time with him. Anna called him and he answered. He spoke with the kids and told them he was on a business trip. She's going to file for joint custody. If he doesn't want 50% custody, he'll have to turn it down on record. She also found out that last Tuesday, when he was supposed to be watching the kids, he was tagged in a picture at a bar playing pool. So much for working. He didn't even untag himself, which shows he really doesn't give a shit. He doesn't love Anna or even like her, but he must hate her to act like that. I don't get it. He absolutely disgusts me. You know, guys like Darren really making other guys look bad. The next one's from Am I the Asshole? From user SquarePhone8468. Am I the asshole for not being excited my sister's having a new baby when I still have custody of her first child? Yikes. Yes, I'm on a throwaway. I have people I know on my actual account, and I really don't talk about this with friends, hence the third-party opinions. My sister Val is an alcoholic, or was an alcoholic. I don't know the terminology. She's been on and off since she was 18. Her drinking made her a neglectful parent. I won't go into it, but eventually social services stepped in and I ended up fostering my new nephew Danny, who was 6 at the time. When we took custody, Val made almost no effort to see Danny. She missed scheduled visits, even in the brief period she was clean after being sent to rehab. Danny grew very resentful, and when she did stick to visits, he would refuse to speak to her, which would drive her into another bender, spiral, relapse. After 2 years of fostering, my husband and I were given full legal guardianship, which Val voluntarily gave us. Danny is now 11, and Val isn't in his life, which he says is what he wants. Val's been sober for 2 years and only ever asked how Danny is when she speaks to me. She makes no effort to contact him. I've really never said much to her about it because Danny is a happy kid. I think we're good parents to him, and I don't want Val to start contacting him out of obligation and end up hurting him. She's basically just an uninvolved aunt to him. But earlier this week, Val announced on a family group call that she's pregnant, and I couldn't even fake being pleased. My stomach just dropped. She's over there grinning, talking about a nursery, while next door to me is the bedroom of the kid she discarded. It's one thing to hold your hands up and say you're not capable of being a mother, but to just decide you can't be bothered to do the work of repairing the relationship with the child you already have so you can have a new one? I guess I didn't look happy on the video because everyone asked what my issue was. I just said nothing, and not to worry because I'll let the child she didn't want know about the one that she did. Val got really upset and her boyfriend got mad at me, and the call ended shortly after. My mom says I owe Val an apology. She asked if I thought she would take Danny back or if I resented having him. To be clear, I couldn't love that boy more if he came out of me. And no, I don't think he should live with Val. My mom's point is if I think things should stay the way they are, then I shouldn't begrudge Val for still wanting to be a mother to someone. And that considering, there's nothing she could do right in this situation. I should find it in my heart to be happy she's healthy and finding happiness. My dad agrees with me that she's making a bad decision having another child, but mainly because he feels she's not stable, not because of Danny. He says Danny is my son now, and I shouldn't see it as him being reabandoned when he's in the best place for him. I just feel like it's so wrong of Val to try and start fresh, like she doesn't already have a child out there that she never even tried with. It seems like she just wants everything the easy way. I'm just so angry that she thinks she doesn't have to take responsibility for the hurt she caused. She can just start the cycle again as if Danny was the first pancake. Am I really the asshole for not seeing this as a positive thing? Alright, that was part 1. I don't know. I kind of get both sides of this one because, yeah, you shouldn't just be like, well, alright, I messed up this kid. Let me try again. But also, like, that kid, Danny, he knows. He's like, I don't want nothing. I don't want anything to do with her. Like, I have my mom. You're my mom. Like, yeah. Let me know what you guys think about this one so far. But here's part 2. This was 10 days later. Hi, I noticed a lot of people either DM'd me asking for updates or put the update me thing in the comments, so I thought I would come and post one. I was really touched by people sharing their personal experiences in the comments as well. So I wanted to respect that by providing closure on this, if you would consider this closure. Anyway, on to the update. First, my husband told Danny about the baby. They went out for a boys' day on Saturday and they talked about it. I won't share too much about it, but he took it pretty well, all things considered. We do think we will have him booked for a few sessions with a therapist, but we want the dust to settle a little bit. Danny opens up easier when he's had some time to himself and to think about things first, so we're going to give it a couple of weeks. But he's doing well for now. Next, I spoke to my mom. A lot of people were quite harsh on her, which I don't think was deserved, but I did feel like we needed to have a conversation. My mother is the kindest and most forgiving person on the planet, and I love that about her. The same way I saw what Danny went through, she saw what Val went through with her birth mother. I look at Danny and see a scared little 6-year-old. My mom looks at Val and sees a traumatized teenager, so she has a different perspective. She's pretty, all's well that ends well in mindset. She always has been. She likes happy endings. In her mind, this is one, but she understands that she came across really flippant about what Danny went through, and she does feel bad about it in hindsight. She adores Danny, so me laying it out for her all over again really affected her, and she saw where I was coming from being upset. She did say she still hopes that Val is a better mother to her new baby, and at least we can both agree on that. Finally, I spoke to Val. She apologized for not telling me beforehand, but said she felt like she needed the support of having our parents there because she was nervous to tell me. And felt if we were all on the call, it might be a bit more like a normal, joyful occasion. But she said she knew she should have spoken to me separately. She said she'll always regret the things she did while not sober, and she doesn't think Danny should ever forgive her. But she always wanted to be a mother, and she finally feels like she will be a good one now. I was listening to all this, thinking I was just going to leave things where they are and stop reaching out. But then she basically said after everything, "Don't I want her to be happy?" And here's where I have to admit to maybe being a bad person, but viscerally, I wanted to answer no. And I realized the answer is actually no. I don't want Val to be happy. I want her to be sober and healthy, and I guess to have moments of happiness. But when I think of her living a happy life, I know that isn't what I would choose for her. I know that makes me a bad person, and I'm actually okay with that. People can judge me. I don't care. Because they didn't have to walk into some dingy government building and see a child with bones sticking out of his shirt, scared of every loud noise, and take him home and watch him hide cold fries under his mattress in case there wasn't food to eat tomorrow. They didn't have to teach a 6-year-old the alphabet. They didn't have to look at him crying for his mother and figure out how to tell him you don't know where she is. Thinking to yourself how sad it is she's all he cares about when she's somewhere not giving a crap what's happening to him. The worst things Val ever did, she did to someone I love beyond measure. And it's not for me to decide who deserves to be happy, but I can't say I hope she is. Obviously, I didn't have all this clarity during the phone call, but I did have enough to be honest and say my family and I were not in a place where it would be possible to engage with her anymore. She did not take this well, and a lot of stuff she's been hanging on to came up. Like how I should have tried harder to get Danny to talk to her, how she felt I wasn't present enough when she had Danny, all stuff from years ago. She called me spitefully, and her boyfriend later sent me a message saying the same, but it had to be done. I don't want to be in this toxic cycle of actively wishing someone doesn't have the life they want and keeping them in my life just to stir this up every few weeks. It's too much bad energy being put out there. I ended up blocking both Val and her boyfriend. I let my parents know that we'll have to do separate holidays and functions from now on, and they were very understanding. I'm happy to give Val priority on stuff with her dad's side of the family, and she can do the same with my mom's side, and that's that. My parents also promised not to give updates unless asked to either side. I'm not really sure if I'd say this is a happy update, but I think the positive I can take from this is it's made me very grateful for the family I have, and I'm just going to focus on being the best mother and wife to them that I can be. Thank you again to everyone who commented, and if I've left anything out, feel free to let me know. Listen, you guys can hate me for this if you want, but I'm 100% on the OP side on this. I'm all for creating a healthy environment for yourself, for your family. You have to do what you have to do to protect your peace. though I do hope you're able to work through this with your sister in the future. The next one's from r/relationship advice. An anonymous person messaged me, female 27, saying that my boyfriend, male 29, of 3 years was arrested. Can you help me know what I should do next? I've been with Jason for just over 3 years, and I've never had any concerns or any obvious red flags about his behavior. He's always been very respectful to me throughout all our relationship. We moved in together about 8 months ago, and our relationship has been solid. I barely ever use Facebook, so never really got around to changing my relationship status on there. But 3 weeks ago, I just randomly decided to do it and tag Jason. All the public comments on that post were normal things you expect from family and friends, etc. Even though everyone I know closely already is aware we're in a relationship, didn't think anything of it and moved on with my life. Last Sunday, however, I opened back up my Facebook and I noticed I had a message request from the day after I posted the relationship update. I opened it and the name of the account wasn't a name I recognized, but it was a male name. They had sent me a long message, saying they saw my posts and thought that I should know about Jason's past. They said they knew Jason and said that 7 years ago Jason was arrested for serious crimes that I'm not sure I even feel comfortable saying on here. But they were very, very serious claims. They said in the message that they thought I should know. In my country, arrests are not public information unless the person admits guilt or is found guilty. And I found nothing when I searched his name. I messaged them back and asked them who they were, how they knew Jason, and how I knew if what they were saying was true. They replied saying they knew Jason from years ago when Jason was arrested. The user said he wasn't giving his real name and that I didn't need to believe him. He said, just ask Jason about it. I messaged back and he has read some of them, but then went offline and didn't answer anything after that. Obviously, reading it all made me very anxious and I didn't know what to do and I had no idea if I should even believe what this person is saying. I didn't say anything to Jason that day, but it was really eating at me and Jason noticed that I was being off with him. So I asked him to talk, and I said that I had gotten a weird message from someone claiming things about him. He looked confused, and he asked what they said. And so I told him what the account said. His face went red all over, and he looked genuinely panicked. He said it wasn't true, but looked very panicked. He said again, that's not true. He got up, grabbed his keys, and left. I texted him after he left and said I was sorry. That I wasn't accusing him of anything, because I really wasn't. I was just telling him about the weird message I received. He said he understood, but he was hurt that I even repeated those things about him, and he decided to stay at his mom's for the night. He hasn't come back since. I'm unsure if I acted wrongly here. I genuinely was not accusing him of what the message said, but I also feel like I had to tell him about it. I couldn't have kept it a secret. This has been our first fight that lasted multiple days. I've been texting him every morning saying I hope he has a good day, and he heart reacts to them, but hasn't responded. I'm unsure if I acted wrongly here. I feel like it all comes down to how you said it, because you might not have meant to accuse him, but it could have sounded accusatory, you know what I mean? But our boy David is acting real suspicious. Anyways, here's part 2. This is going to be long. I'm sorry, but I just need to get this out. Firstly, thank you everyone for your advice and for helping me realize. After I'd read all the comments, I messaged him saying he needs to talk to me because he needs to tell me the whole truth. And because of his reaction, he needs to convince me of whatever he says. And he needs to do it by the end of today or the relationship is finished. He messaged back this morning and said he was coming over to talk. I do want to say though, he's never acted this way before. He's always been very communicative and able to express himself and his emotions without placing blame or anger. If you get what I mean, he's been in therapy since he was a child, so I suppose it comes from that. So the way he acted when I told him about the message was very unusual and shocked me, honestly. So he came over and we spoke. He told me that this is difficult for him to speak about, and I said I appreciated that, but he needs to be honest with me now or we can't continue our relationship. He told me what the message said was true, but it wasn't how it sounded. I'm going to tell you exactly what he said because I'm honestly still at a loss and feel so confused and overwhelmed. He explained his side of the story. He brought me a file with documents inside. He said that's all the evidence he has to explain what happened. He went through them with me, explaining as he was going through. His story was that he was hired by a family as a sort of live-in babysitter. He would stay in the house looking after the children during school breaks and weekends while his main job was a teacher. He said that he realized in hindsight that their oldest son, Max, who was 14, had some sort of crush on him. Jason said that, with retrospect, he should have realized sooner and done something to protect himself, but he said he didn't realize until it was too late. I asked Jason to explain what he meant because that didn't make sense to me. He said he has worked for the family for almost 5 years, and so he had seen the 3 children grow up, that the parents treated him very much like a part of the family. Then, he said in the last year, Max started acting strangely around Jason. For example, he said when Max got a phone, the parents asked Jason to add him as a contact. So for example, if Max wanted to go out with friends while Jason was babysitting, Jason agreed. It was okay for a while, then Max started sending him a lot of messages, and like calling Jason midweek, just to talk. Jason said he thought it was weird, but wasn't sure how to communicate that, so he just stopped responding to Max completely while outside of the role as the babysitter. He told me a lot more detail, but I don't want to share everything here. But it led up to one day, while Jason was babysitting, Max apparently made a pass at him, and then Jason said he realized that Max had some sort of weird crush on him. Jason said he told him that his behavior wasn't appropriate and that he was going to have to speak to the parents. Max apparently went crazy and locked himself in his bedroom. Jason said he immediately called the parents and said they needed to come home. He said he explained everything that happened and said it probably wasn't a good idea for him to continue working with Max. He said at the time they all agreed and Jason went home. 2 days later, the police knocked on the door and arrested him. Jason says that Max claimed he had basically been grooming him and his little brother for years, and Max claimed that Jason had, well, I'm sure you know what I mean. Jason said the investigation lasted 6 months, but the only time he actually spent in jail was when he was waiting for his lawyer to arrive, when he was first arrested. He said he knew he was innocent, so he complied with the police as much as he could. But he said it was the worst time of his life. Jason said because of it, his girlfriend broke up with him, he lost both his jobs as the babysitter, obviously, but also, because he was arrested and under investigation, he lost his job as a teacher also. He said that time of his life was hell, and he never wanted to revisit it. When he said he was cleared of charges, he just wanted to forget about it and move on with his life. I asked why he didn't tell me any of this before. He said that's not something people understand when you explain. He said he was sorry for how he acted, but he was just shocked and so confused about who even would know this. After he explained everything, I took some time just reading through all the documents he had. They were supporting what he was saying. I asked if I could talk to his friends about this, or someone else, so I can see what they understand. He said no, which shocked me a bit. He said none of his friends know about this, and he wants to keep it that way. He said I could talk to his parents or his sisters about it, but not his friends. We spoke a bit longer, and I said I would prefer if he stayed at his mom's house until I had processed everything. He said that was a good idea. We decided to meet up tomorrow to talk again, but I'm so confused, and I feel like I don't know what to do. I don't know if this is the update you were expecting, but I'm genuinely at a loss, and I don't know what to do anymore. So I feel like if the documents from the investigation support it, and he's like never given you any red flags before, why not believe the guy? Especially, go talk to his family, see what they have to say, but I feel like there's no reason not to believe him. It just sounds like wrong place at the wrong time and a bad situation to be in general. Okay, so there's actually another update, and it just caught me so off guard. Not going to be a long update, but, well, I don't know. He broke up with me, so I don't know what it means now, and I wish I had never even seen the message. I texted him later last night after we spoke. I said I was having a hard time digesting everything. He said he understands and told me to take as much time as I needed. He said this was difficult for him to talk about, how it was the worst time of his life, but he said ask him whatever questions I wanted and he would answer to the best of his understanding. But he said to be mindful because the topic was painful for him. In retrospect, it does show he's trying to guilt me into not asking him questions about it. I said I was just having doubts about him because of everything now. It's going to make me struggle to see him the same way moving forward. I said I wanted to move on, but he's going to have to build my trust back. And I said honestly, it's going to be in the back of my mind whenever I see him around children now. I told him I'm sorry, but I'm just saying the truth. But I wanted to work with him and build our relationship back. But he's going to have to work hard to prove to me that he really is innocent if he wants our relationship to last. He just replied, "Oh." I asked him what that means. He said he doesn't really think that's fair on him. I did nothing wrong. I just replied, well, if that's true, you'll have no issue proving it. He didn't tell me this for our whole 3-year relationship. Of course I've lost trust in him. He left me on red for about 2 hours, which is childish. He sends me back this big message about how he did everything right, and yet this allegation is still ruining his life, and how it wasn't fair. He went on to say a lot of stuff. He went on this big rant saying he's given me everything to show what he's saying is true. He said he complied with the police with everything they asked. He said they found nothing because he was innocent. Again, he said it ruined his life. He goes on this big story about how he lost his first teaching job, how he had to work from rock bottom while also having this allegation on his background check for the rest of his life. He said all this stuff that wasn't relevant about how he has to spend his whole life convincing people that what they read on paper isn't what it seems, that he isn't some monster, and that people will still look at him with suspicion in their eyes. He said people read it on paper and then they don't care what you say. You're guilty. He said he didn't want me to know about that because he didn't want me looking at him differently. He didn't want another person who looks at him like a criminal when he did nothing wrong, in all caps. He then sends me a follow-up saying he thought he had finally moved on, found a job that trusts him, found a girlfriend he loves, but he's realized he's never going to have that. He's never going to have a life where he can just be normal. So he said, what's the point? He said he won't live in relationships where his girlfriend is second-guessing everything he does. In my eyes, that message is a breakup message. So I asked him if he was breaking up with me. He just replied that he's not going to spend his life trying to prove to someone that he is innocent of a crime he never committed. He said he's done it with the police and I'm not doing it with you 7 years later. And that he's not living like that for the rest of his life either. He said, I love you, but no, I'm not living like that. You accept me or I'm not doing it. I'll give you time, I'll give you space, I'll answer any questions you have. But if you're telling me you're never going to see me the same way again, if you tell me you're not going to trust me ever again, that you're going to look at me for the rest of my life and see those allegations, then yeah, I guess I'm not living like that. He then asked that I don't tell anyone about what I know. He said it will only ruin his life more if more people know. He said that therapy would be a good place where I could confidentially open up about this, which seems a bit controlling to me now. In my eyes, that's not him working with me to prove himself, so I said I guess we're broken up then. He's deleting all his social media, and he isn't responding to any of the messages anymore, which is childish. I can't believe he's acting this way to me. He's never been like this before. I spoke to my best friend about everything, and she told me she thinks I'm the one who ruined the relationship, and now I'm just so sad. Did I ruin this with him? I'm not going to be posting anymore. Edit. I get it, everyone. You can stop berating me. I'm the bad guy here, of course, as always. I'm the one in the wrong. I've texted Jason to tell him I'm sorry. I've tried calling him, and he's not responding to anything. So, are you happy now? Yeah, I don't know. I feel like her saying, okay, like, I'm never going to see you in the same light. You've got to prove to me that you didn't do any of these things, and you're not like this. Like, how often is this guy facing this? He's probably... Anyone who finds out about this, he's probably having to battle this with something he never did. And I feel like she's not being a safe space for him at all. Quite the opposite. Like her saying, I'm not going to be able to trust you around kids. Like, oh, well, it should be easy for you to prove your trust to me again then if you did nothing wrong. Homeboy shouldn't even have to do that. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Next story is from Am I the Asshole by user Warning Stunning 7156. Am I the asshole for leaving my boyfriend's birthday dinner after his mom took my seat? Yeah, bro, I'd leave too. I, 25 female, have been dating my boyfriend Matt, 27 male, for almost 2 years. His family is very close, and his mom in particular has always been a little possessive. I've tried not to make a big deal out of it, but it's clear she doesn't like that I take up his time. And she's made passive-aggressive comments like, I hope I don't lose my son to some girl, even though we've been together for a while, and I've made every effort to be kind and respectful to her. Anyway, last weekend was Matt's birthday. He invited me to dinner with his family at a nice restaurant. I got dressed up, got him a gift I knew he'd love, and was honestly looking forward to the night. When we arrived, I noticed his mom had saved the seat right next to him for herself. That's fine, whatever. I sat on his other side. But right before we ordered, his mom made a joke about how I always need to be next to Matt and said, let's see how you handle a little separation. Then she literally stood up, looked at me, and said, scooch, sweetie, motioning for me to move down a seat so she could sit between us. Everyone at the table laughed, Matt included. I was so stunned, I just quietly got up and moved. For about 5 minutes I sat there, feeling small and humiliated, while she leaned over Matt like he was her date. So I stood up, grabbed my bag, and said, actually, I think I'm gonna head out. Hope you have a great birthday, Matt. And I left. Matt blew up my phone later saying I completely overreacted, embarrassed him in front of his family, and can't take a joke. His mom texted me a sorry you were so sensitive message, which just made it worse. Now he's not speaking to me until I apologize. I honestly feel like they were the rude ones, but it was his birthday dinner, so now I'm second guessing everything. Am I the asshole? No, Reddit user Warning Stunning 7156. You are not the asshole. Matt, being your boyfriend, should 100% stand up to his parents and not see that as a joke and be like, hey, yeah, I want to sit next to my girlfriend. And the mom with the sorry you were so sensitive text says it all, to me at least. I mean, she didn't acknowledge doing anything wrong. Here's an update from the next day. I dropped his stuff off and he tried to have a talk with me, and he was basically saying like, oh, his mom didn't mean any harm with the joke and telling me to chill it out and that I'm being dramatic. I told him to go date his mom since she is perfect and y'all understand each other's humor. This is the right way to go about it. He's not going to respect you as much as he respects his mom. So, yeah, kick him to the curb. This next one's from r/relationships from user Fiance Wedding Advice. Hi guys, long-time lurker here. I have a question I'd like to ask. A little background. I met my fiance Emily in college about 5 years ago, and we started dating several months later. As corny as it sounds, things just clicked. Things got pretty serious and ended up proposing to her at Christmas, and she said yes. But since then, a couple of issues have popped up, and I'd like to get some advice on them. The problem is that I, being somewhat sappy and effeminate, have dreamed about getting married before, and I've wanted for a long time to have a perfect wedding. So I started discussing wedding plans with Emily soon after we got engaged, talking about what we wanted our wedding to be like. Of course, I knew then as well as now that there would have to be some compromise, some give and take and all that, with a little of what I want and a little of what she wants. At first, it seemed like she was open to that, but now I'm not sure. You see, Emily has gotten really pushy about the wedding plans. Since that first conversation she had, she's been ignoring most of my suggestions except for really small ones like what outfit I can wear or what songs we can play at the reception. Meanwhile, she's really excited about her wedding and is constantly coming up with ideas of her own. What's more, she has been enlisting a bunch of her girlfriends, female relatives, etc. to help her plan the wedding out, with relatively little input from me. I feel really left out from the whole planning process, and I've mentioned that to her before, to which she would always say something like, oh, it's just brainstorming. Still, that kind of bothers me. It all came to a head yesterday. When I got home from work, we lived together, Emily came up to me, barely able to contain her excitement. and announced that she and her friends had finally found the perfect venue for our wedding. She showed me some pictures on her phone, and it wasn't really close to my taste, and I mentioned that. She brushed that off too, saying that I just didn't understand weddings, or something like that, because I'm a man. That really hurt me because it's like she didn't care about my opinion, and I told her. She told me it was just a joke and I shouldn't take it so seriously. Probably true, because she was laughing when she said it, but whatever. That was when I decided to tell her just how left out I felt. I told her I wanted to plan the wedding too, and I thought I had made that clear. She basically said that, okay, I could help, but this was still her big day. So she got to make all the major decisions. That really pissed me off for some reason. I told her that it was my big day too. She just said that the wedding is all about the bride, and that this was her one day to be a princess. What the hell? I told her that she was making me feel like I didn't matter at all, and she laughed and said that of course I mattered. Why else would she agree to marry me? And besides, I got to help her plan out her big day, so I should be happy. She said this like it wasn't a big deal. Like I said before, I'm kinda unmanly. I was actually starting to cry at this point, and her nonchalant attitude was just making things worse. I excused myself from the room and just got into bed and cried. I was in a funk all night and even this morning, and it's only now that I can clear my head and type this out. So help me out, guys. Is Emily being unreasonable or not? Is she right that I should stay out of this? How can I get her to let me have some control here? Should we postpone getting married? Thanks, guys. Okay, guys, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like Emily has no respect for our boy here. Like, if he wants to plan some of the wedding, he should be allowed to. It's also his wedding, not just her big day to be a princess, you know what I mean? Anyways, here's part 2. 2 days later. Hi guys, it's me again. This is actually my second update. I wrote a post last night, but that one got removed by the mods. I think because I was asking in the post for further advice. Anyway, as I was writing it out, I came to the realization that I didn't need advice after all, that I had a strong gut feeling that something was wrong and I needed to get closure with Emily. So I brought it up with her shortly after writing my post last night. Things went horrible and now I feel like shit. I'll start by summing up that post that got deleted. I ended up having a talk with Emily on Sunday evening, basically running through some points I laid out in my original posts and that some people who commented on it had suggested. By the way, thanks guys. She apologized and agreed to premarital counseling, but wasn't too happy about it. And she also agreed to have me co-plan the wedding with her. But when I mentioned postponing the wedding, she got really upset and said that she wanted to get married now. Fortunately, we never had a final date for our wedding ceremony to begin with, so I was able to calm her down by reassuring her that we would be getting married soon. We spent hours yesterday trying to reach a very general master plan for the wedding based on both our ideas. But I just could not shake this feeling that she was just agreeing to what I said so that I would be placated and she could go on with the wedding, and then control every aspect of our lives for the entirety of our marriage. I also doubted the sincerity of her apology and was very worried by the fact that she had insisted on getting married right now, and not in an I can get enough out of you way. It was definitely more like a little kid throwing a tantrum over a toy they want. Basically, my post that got removed was asking if my concerns were legitimate and what I should do about them. So like I said before, I realized by the time I had finished writing that post last night that I had already answered my own questions. I didn't feel like she was being sincere, and I definitely did feel like she was just trying to appease me so that she could get what she wanted, as opposed to her genuinely wanting my input on the whole process. So around midnight last night, I approached her with these feelings. I basically told her all of what I had said above, and demanded to know if she really wanted to marry me or just to get married. She lost it. She accused me of not loving her, saying I was just trying to guilt her into giving me everything I wanted all the time. At one point, she even accused me of cheating on her. She fell back into old stereotypes. She was saying that men are just selfish pigs who only put up with women and never commit to giving them what they want and deserve. I was too stunned to say anything. I might have been crying. I don't even know. It was just too much to handle. She eventually threatened to break up with me if I didn't apologize for doubting her And at that point, I just let her break up with me. The Emily I had fallen in love with had just evaporated right before my eyes. She kicked me out of the apartment after that. I had to find a hotel room, and I ended up calling in sick at work and just laying in the hotel bed all day, just sobbing. Man, this is miserable. I checked Facebook and Twitter and all that a while back, and Emily and her friends have been posting a ton of stuff about how I betrayed and abandoned her and all that. Some of them have even sent messages to me directly telling me what an asshole I am. At the very least, Emily's parents, who I'm actually pretty close with, commented on those posts defending me, and they even called me earlier this afternoon to apologize for their daughter's actions. That's the only thing that's really gotten me out of this funk. The woman I was going to marry left me, and it's all my fault. Sorry guys, I messed up on this one big time. Oh no, my friend, you did not mess up at all. Seems like you dodged a bullet. And a nasty divorce. You dodged that too. If she's acting like this before you're even married, what's it gonna be like in 5 or 10 years? Always trust your gut, because this guy did, and he might not realize it right now, but it's gonna pay off for him in the future. The next one's also from r/relationships from user work life. My 32 male coworker, 30 female, recently had her husband's 30 male mother pass away. I know they didn't get along very well. She had a party to celebrate her death. I now lost all respect for her and want to tell her husband what she did. Okay, I'm going to use fake names for this. Jenny equals colleague at the place I work. Mark is her husband. Mark's mother is his mother. Jenny's mother-in-law. So I know Jenny from work. Her husband Mark, in his 30s, is a really nice guy. He's kind of meek and not very outspoken, but he's a nice guy once you get to know him. He's very humble and friendly. I've known them both for a few years, and I know Mark almost as well as I know Jenny. It's no secret that Mark's mother and Jenny never got along. She would always complain to us at work about whatever petty fights or arguments they got into. She made his mother seem pretty horrible, but I realized I was only hearing one side of the argument. I really didn't like it, but I ignored it most of the time. It was mostly the other people at work, usually the other women, that used to like to hear and talk about that shit. She's been sick for a while now. She's pretty old, and she died last week. We've known it was coming for some time, and Mark is absolutely devastated. He's a wreck of a man by what happened. I was there at her funeral, and I was there to comfort him. His wife was also seeming very comforting. Well, yesterday after work, Jenny and some of the other girls from work were going to a bar to have drinks and celebrate her death. Jenny seemed quite excited for it and showed no remorse. Now I know they didn't have a good relationship, but this is disgusting from my point of view. A woman died, the mother of her husband, who her husband loved dearly. Her husband, a man who she supposedly loves dearly. I thought, what the hell? This is sick. But I didn't say anything. They went off, and I was there in the office feeling disgusted. I think it's a vile thing to do, no matter how bad their relationship was in life. You don't go celebrate the death of someone your husband loved, especially his mother. It's sickening in all manner of ways. I'm sure Mark doesn't know. He's probably still grieving. He was a wreck when I last saw him. I feel like I should tell him. I have a strong inclination to tell him. I feel he has the right to know. His wife is doing this stuff behind his back, 'cause she thinks it won't affect him, but it's pretty gross in my opinion. I know it will probably make him feel worse. I know it will probably destroy their marriage, and I'll be responsible, but I feel he has a right to know. He's my friend, and I care about him, and he has a right to know. I'm like 90% positive now I want to tell him, but I'm not really sure. As I said, I'm well aware of the repercussions, that I may be destroying a marriage with 2 kids, as well as probably destroying any friendship I have with Jenny. What should I do? Am I right in telling him, or should I just hold my mouth? I feel like he has a right to know, and my strong inclination is to tell him. Okay, first off, I'm sorry, I think this is really funny. The first thing after this before the update is in all caps and bold, guys, please, I'm not gay for Mark. Stop suggesting that I am. But what a twist that would be. Yeah, anyways, if Mark's my friend, I'm 110% telling him. Because someone who's supposed to be like there for him and considerate of his feelings, like I get she didn't tell him about it, but I just feel like no matter how much you don't like somebody, you don't celebrate their death, like especially your husband's mom. And he's like destroyed over it. Yeah, no, I'm telling him. He has the right to know. All right, here's part 2. Okay, well, just to clear a few things up first. I'm a male. A lot of you seem to have trouble comprehending that in the comments. No, I'm not gay for Mark. I'm a straight male. The overwhelming number of comments were defending Jenny's atrocious actions, and I'd be lying if I said those overwhelming number of comments didn't somewhat influence my actions and make me reconsider. I did get a bunch of private messages from guys saying they knew if they commented in the thread, they'd get downvoted, but if they were Mark, they'd want to know. I know Mark well. A lot of you were saying I don't know him. I know him well. I know him through Jenny. He is my friend. Well, I invited Mark over to my house. I know he's been in a terrible mood lately, so I invited him over to relax. We had a few beers, talked things out. I wanted to tell him. I was going to tell him. But this poor guy, he was in such a mess. He was so visibly upset and miserable, I couldn't bring myself to add another layer to his burdens. I didn't do it to protect Jenny. I think she's a scumbag POS for celebrating the death of his mother, but I did it because I didn't want to add to his grief. So no, I didn't tell him his wife had celebrated the death of his own beloved mother while he was grieving. Instead, we talked about many other things, about life, family, whatever. I said it seems like Jenny's been very supportive of him. He laughed and then started telling me the truth of the situation. He said he knows she and his mother always hated each other, and she's been anything but empathetic, except on a superficial level. He said at times he felt she can barely hide her glee. I said that's terrible, but didn't really add anything. He said they've been fighting since his mother's death, and it's been getting worse, and part of it stems from what he feels is her joy at it. Apparently the fighting is pretty bad, and it's caused a real strain in their marriage. I suggested marriage counseling. He balked at the idea, and I told him if he ever wanted a friend to talk to, I'm here. I knew if I say anything, it should be at this point, but I didn't. He tells me that he heard from one of the other male coworkers at our place, who's also a friend of his, that Jenny was acting gleeful around the office and telling the other girls about his mother's death. He asked me if it was true, and I said yeah. I then said I don't really pay attention to much that goes around work and don't engage in gossip like the women do, so I could have just misheard. He stayed a bit further at my place relaxing, then he went home. Next morning at work, Jenny came in in obviously sour mood. She walked up to my cubicle and was clearly angry. She asked me, "What did you talk about with my husband yesterday?" I told her it was between me and him. She said something like, "Oh, he's my husband, stay away." I don't remember what the words were exactly. I then told her I know that she went out to the bar to celebrate the death of her husband's mother, and I thought it was disgusting and I'd lost all respect for her. I then told her to go away and not to bother me because I had work to do. Go off. She left in a bad mood, and that was the end of that. Hope I don't hear from her again. I honestly lost all respect for her. I think she's a bad person. If her marriage does fail for whatever reason, it would be her own fault for being such a callous bitch and celebrating the death of her husband's mother. I still can't wrap my head around what kind of evil person would do that. You know, I was saying that, yeah, he should definitely go tell him that his wife was doing that, but I'd be surprised if her and Mark were still together to this day, because it seems like she's doing a pretty great job at destroying her own marriage. The next story today is from Am I the Asshole from user Philistotle. Am I the asshole for wanting to quit my unpaid co-host role after being told I couldn't cancel when my pet was dying? I, 33 male, am a co-host on community radio focused on men's mental health. It's unpaid and something I do as a hobby, but it's a pretty big commitment. I drive about 3 hours each way every week to be there. On top of co-hosting, I also manage the show's social media and Spotify, editing, uploading, posting, etc. Recently, one of my pets became seriously ill and had surgery. The morning of the show, I found out things weren't looking good and there was a real chance we might have to put him down that day. I messaged the main host to let him know I couldn't make it. Background: He works in the mental health space and has a bachelor in health science. This was the exchange. Hey man, can't make it to the show tonight. One of the pets is really sick at the vet and we might have to put him down tonight. Was really hoping for some good news this morning after his operation, but unfortunately not. Him, we have one rule. You can't cancel on the day. Later, he also said, I hope this is not an April Fool's joke. Wow. I'm not gonna lie, I'd be fist fighting this guy. I responded, I'm not joking. I get you have your rules, but this is an emergency and a pretty distressing situation. I was a bit taken aback by the response, given the circumstances, and considering you work in mental health. A simple, I'm sorry, hope he's okay, I'll handle the show, would have been fine. He replied, doesn't stop me from being honest. And also, I think we have a different view on death. I get over things pretty quick because life still carries on. When you have lost as many things as I have, it gives you a very different perspective. I do apologize for that. This whole interaction really didn't sit right with me. I understand having rules, but this felt like a complete lack of empathy for a genuine emergency. Now I'm seriously considering quitting. It's unpaid, I travel 3 hours each way, and I also handle a lot of behind-the-scenes work, like social media and uploading content. I actually don't even know what to say to him. Am I the asshole for wanting to quit over this? Okay, hold on. So this guy works in the mental health space. I really hope he's not some type of therapist. Because if so, I'm sure he can't be a good one. Also, he's playing the woe is me card. I've lost so many people and things in my life that I just don't experience death like a normal human being. It's honestly disgusting, and what I would do is I'd show up for the radio show, and I'd be like, yeah, so your host here told me that I should just suck it up and get over it whenever my pet got put down. Like, come on. Anyways, here's the update. I just want to say thank you to everyone who responded. I didn't expect this kind of support, but reading through your comments genuinely helped me feel seen and validated during a pretty difficult time. It gave me a lot of clarity and confidence in how I was feeling. The Reddit community is amazing. I ended up deciding to step away from the show. After thinking about it more, the lack of empathy in the situation and the overall lack of respect just didn't sit right with me, especially given the focus on mental health. For those asking, this is what I sent. Hey, I'm stepping away from the show, effective immediately. Your response when I told you my pet was likely going to be put down was unacceptable. That was a real, distressing situation, and instead of any basic empathy, you chose to prioritize a rule and make dismissive comments. That's not something I'm willing to tolerate. Mental health is something I take seriously, which is why I was involved in the first place. The way you handled that situation showed a lack of understanding and respect that doesn't align with the values you claim to represent. I was contributing a significant amount, driving 3 hours each way, managing social media and Spotify, and doing it all unpaid. I did that because I believed in what the show stood for. This experience made it clear that belief isn't shared. For clarity, my pet did pass, which makes your response even more inappropriate. I value my time, my effort, and how I'm treated, and this situation fell well short of that. I won't be continuing. He replied almost instantly, and his response really solidified my decision. I am actually in shock and not sure how to react. Any suggestions would be appreciated. I'm in shock that a 46-year-old male can behave like this. If that's how you feel, then that is your choice. But I go on patterns, and the last 3 times you chose not to come in was because of a sick pet. And all 3 times you canceled on the day. If I am to respect you, it would be nice to get the same respect back. And hey, if this is all it took instead of showing the show the respect it deserved, then you have been looking for a way out, which just takes honesty, courage, and a conversation. Thank you for your time. You talk big about respect, yet you could not follow the only rule the show had. Can you please forward the Spotify details? How we upload it? So, this was only my second time canceling out of the 60 plus shows we have been on, and on the day, obviously, because of an emergency with another pet. So this guy's like super angry, like completely dissing this guy. You talk big about respect. You couldn't follow the only rule. And then at the end, can you please forward the Spotify details? How we upload it is absolutely crazy. So the OP, what he should do is start his own Spotify show, his own podcast on mental health, and the first episode should just be about this encounter. And he should say exactly like, oh yeah, this is the podcast I used to be on. This guy, and give his name, did this, and this is how he reacted. So, if you really care about mental health, you should listen to my podcast instead. All right, next story today is from r/am I wrong, from user throwaway RA556655. My fiance, together almost 4 years, has never shown any signs of being a cheater, but it feels like something weird is happening. She wears her ring everywhere except when she's going out with her friends. Ooh, that's a big red flag. I've never been a club person, but go with her sometimes to hang out. She's super extroverted while I'm more low-key. We balance each other out, and she's exposed to me a lot of amazing experiences. I love her very much, and she's been an amazing mother figure in my daughter's life, who I have majority custody of, so she spends a lot of time with her. I asked her why she doesn't wear her ring out, but she says it's because she doesn't want to lose it when drinking. She wears it to the gym, but takes it off and puts it into this keychain ring holder. My brother was over last weekend when she was leaving, and he asked me about it. I said it was because she didn't want to lose it, and he said that wasn't normal. Yeah, no, that's not normal. I grew up very religious and sheltered. My last long-term relationship was with my child's mother, and she cheated before filing a crazy amount of child support, and then basically abandoned her child right after it was granted, working on legally fixing that. So I worry sometimes that I'm being too trusting. But is this normal? Am I being naive? She also seems to be hiding her phone. I'll go over to her sometimes when she's super engaged, and she will clearly swipe away from whatever she's doing. We have each other's passwords though, and when I ask what she's doing, she'll laugh it off and change the subject or start showing me funny stuff. I haven't seen any suspicious numbers or messages, so I don't know. Yeah, she's being very suspicious. In my opinion, when you're engaged to someone or married to someone, that's something that you should be proud to show off, not, taking your ring off when you're going out to the club. Anyways, here's an update about a week later. So, after a lot of advice, I decided to just surprise her while she was out last night to see her true reaction, like someone suggested. She told me where she was going, but it's not uncommon for her to bounce around to different places, so I had to check her location, which we share on Apple Maps. When I got there, I saw her quickly, but decided to watch for a bit to see how she acts when I'm not around. Sorry if this sounds creepy. She was talking to some guys and hugged them, which made me nervous, but it seemed more friendly than anything. Like I said, she's extremely extroverted and knows a lot of people. She acted like her normal self, dancing, and when a song came on where you'd grind or twerk on someone, she danced on her friends or vice versa. Except for one moment, a guy twerked on her as a joke. She pretended to be the guy, which was funny. After a few songs, I came over, and she screamed and hugged me and started introducing me to everyone, which made me feel good. One of the guys she hugged said something like, "the famous fiance," or something, so I'm clearly not a secret. The night ended well. She and her girlfriends were drunk, so I got them food and took them home. When we got home, I decided it was the best time to ask, because drunk people tend to be the most honest. So I asked her flat out why she keeps hiding her phone when I come around. She said she doesn't hide her phone and asked what I was talking about. Then I described it, and she made a face and smiled like she was nervous. She asked if I really wanted to know and then started laughing really hard. Turns out she was playing this game that's like reading a book that's animated and you choose how the story goes, called Episode or something. She plays games like The Sims, so this tracks. She said the stories can be really cringy and she was embarrassed because sometimes she feels like our age difference makes her feel immature, especially with the life experience I've had before her. I left home young and she grew up well off and is still supported by her parents in many ways. She's the type to join in with the kids at the trampoline park, loves pink and sparkles and styles her locks in fun ways. She's also getting me outside to try new things, but also likes to do the low-key things I like. I guess the contrast of our personalities made her feel like I would judge her for the app. But I don't care, I'm just really glad she's not cheating, lol. Thanks for all the advice, guys. Yeah, if you guys know what game she was playing, I would honestly be pretty embarrassed if I got caught playing that too. Anyways, that's all I have for you today. If you like the non-scary videos, make sure to let me know down in the comments below, because I do also really enjoy reading these stories. If you liked the video, drop a like and subscribe. Also join the Discord. It's going to be one of the top links in the description. If you didn't like the video, I don't know what to tell you. Thanks for watching.